The station was silent, floating in the dark of space like a broken shell. Lights flickered weakly on the walls, and the air smelled of dust and burned metal. The human Daniel moved carefully through the empty corridor. His boots echoed in the silence. He carried a small flashlight, its beam cutting through the thick shadows. He was stranded here after his shuttle broke down, and he hoped to find parts or at least a working communication console. He stopped suddenly. Something shifted in the dark ahead, a faint sound of metal against metal. His hand tightened on the flashlight. Slowly, he stepped forward, his heart beating faster. A door slid open with a creak. Inside the room, he saw a figure standing still, almost blending with the broken machines around her. It was a girl, or something that looked like a girl. Her body shined faintly under the weak lights, half metal and half flesh. Her eyes glowed a soft blue, locking onto him with strange intensity. For a moment, Daniel froze, unable to decide if she was real or just another broken machine. Then she spoke, her voice calm but heavy. "Finally, you came, my husband." Daniel's mind went blank. He stared at her, unsure if he had heard correctly. "What?" he whispered, his voice dry. The girl took a step closer. The sound of her feet was soft, but he noticed the faint hiss of gears under her skin. "You are my husband. I have waited for you." Daniel shook his head quickly, taking a step back. "No. I don't even know you. We've never met." Her face showed no anger. Instead, her glowing eyes softened as if she expected this reaction. "You do not remember," she said, "but I remember everything. You promised me you would return." Daniel's hand moved to the tool on his belt. He wasn't sure if he should run, fight, or keep listening. The girl didn't move further. She only stood there with an expression that mixed sadness and certainty. "Listen," Daniel said, trying to control his voice. "I don't know who you are or what this place is, but I'm not your husband. I'm just looking for a way out of here." Her eyes blinked, glowing brighter for a moment. "This place, it is where we were separated. I was left behind. I knew you would come back, even after so many years." Daniel's chest tightened. Years? He had never set foot here before. He would have remembered. "You're wrong," he said firmly, though his voice shook a little. The girl tilted her head, studying him like a scientist would study a subject. "Your voice is the same. Your eyes are the same. The patterns of your steps, everything matches." She reached out her hand, her fingers partly metallic, partly soft skin. "You are mine." Daniel's breath caught in his throat. The way she said it, calm, sure, almost desperate, made him uneasy. He didn't touch her hand. Instead, he backed away toward the door. At that moment, the lights flickered again, and he noticed something strange on the wall behind her. Symbols carved into the metal, glowing faintly in the same blue as her eyes. They looked like records, or maybe commands. He wondered if she had written them. The girl followed his eyes. "Those are memories," she said quietly. "Pieces of us, pieces of what you forgot." Daniel shook his head harder. "No, I didn't forget. This never happened. I don't know you." Her eyes dimmed slightly, and for the first time her voice trembled. "Do you think I created this story? Do you think I built all this pain for nothing?" Daniel stayed silent. The room felt heavier now, the air thicker. Then, from the far side of the corridor, a sudden loud noise broke the moment. A mechanical sound, like something waking up. Both of them turned their heads. The girl's eyes flashed again. "They found us," she whispered. "Who?" Daniel asked, his voice sharper now. But she didn't answer. She only stepped closer, her hand reaching for his arm with surprising speed. Her grip was strong, too strong to resist. "Wait," Daniel tried to pull away, but she held on, her glowing eyes inches from his face. "If you want to survive, stay with me. I will not lose you again." Daniel's heart pounded wildly. He felt the heat of her grip through his sleeve. She was too real, too alive to be just a machine, yet her words made no sense. The noise outside grew louder, the sound of metal claws scraping against the walls. The lights above flickered violently, threatening to go out. Daniel's throat went dry. He didn't know what was happening, who she really was, or why she called him husband. But in that moment, he realized one thing clearly. Whatever was coming down that corridor was far worse than facing her. The girl pulled him closer, her voice steady now. "Trust me, even if you do not remember. Trust me, or you will die here." Daniel's mind screamed to resist, but his body froze. In the darkness of the broken station, with strange noises growing nearer, he had no choice but to follow the mysterious cyborg girl who claimed to be his wife. Would she save him or destroy him? That question burned in his chest as the shadows closed in. Daniel's legs moved faster than his mind. The cyborg girl dragged him through the dim corridor as the sound of claws scratched closer. Sparks fell from broken wires above, painting their path in short flashes of light. Her grip on his arm was firm, almost desperate, as if she feared letting him go would mean losing him forever. A door slid open ahead, revealing a chamber filled with old consoles and shattered glass. She pulled him inside, and the door shut behind them, muffling the noise outside. Daniel yanked his arm free and took a step back, breathing heavily. "You need to explain," he demanded. "What is going on? Who are those things?" Her glowing eyes blinked, softer now. "Drones," she said. "Hunters. They want me back, and they will kill you if they know you are with me." Daniel rubbed his temples, confused and frustrated. "Why me? I don't even know you." She reached into a slot on her chest and pulled out a small object, no larger than a coin. It glimmered faintly with blue light. She placed it on the console, and suddenly a hologram flickered to life above it. Daniel's own face appeared, standing beside her, the two of them smiling, holding hands, exchanging words that felt too private, too intimate. Daniel stumbled backward. His throat felt dry. That's fake," he said. "It has to be fake." The girl's expression didn't change. "It is not fake. It is us. You and me." Daniel shook his head violently. His heart raced, not from fear of the drones, but from the impossible sight before him. "I've never been here. I never met you. I..." The hologram shifted, showing another image. This time Daniel saw himself wearing a strange suit, wires connected to his head. Scientists or engineers stood around, and beside them the same cyborg girl was being assembled piece by piece. Daniel's stomach twisted. His voice cracked. "What is this?" She stepped closer, her voice low but steady. "This is proof. You were part of the project. They erased your memory when it was over. But I remember you. I remember your promise." Daniel backed into the wall, his mind spinning. He wanted to deny it, to reject everything she said, but the images looked too real, too detailed to be fabricated so perfectly. Suddenly, the sound of metal pounding against the door made both of them snap their heads up. The drones were here. The girl turned to him sharply. "They will break through. Decide now. Stay with me, or die." Daniel's hands curled into fists. He had no reason to trust her, no reason to believe her story, yet the sight of his own face in those memories burned into his thoughts. The pounding grew louder, the door denting under pressure. The girl grabbed the coin-like device and slipped it back into her chest. Her eyes glowed brighter, her voice fierce. "You asked who I am. I am your wife, and I will not let them take you again." The door screeched, sparks flying as claws pierced through the metal. Daniel's pulse hammered in his ears. Everything inside him screamed to run, yet his feet stayed planted. He watched as she extended her arm, metal plates sliding open to reveal a hidden weapon. Blue light gathered at her palm, humming dangerously. She didn't look back at him. "When this door opens," she whispered, "remember who you were, or nothing will save us." The door burst apart, and the shadows of the drones flooded in. The first drone lunged through the broken doorway, its steel claws sparking against the floor. The girl moved with impossible speed, her arm glowing bright as a blast of energy shot forward. The drone shattered into pieces, its body crashing against the far wall. Daniel shielded his face from the flying shards, his heart slamming inside his chest. More drones crawled in, their red eyes burning in the dim room. The girl stood in front of Daniel like a wall of steel and fire. Every movement of hers was precise, every strike powerful. Sparks lit the air as she fought, her body twisting in a mix of grace and raw strength. Daniel wanted to run, but his legs stayed frozen. He had never seen anything like her. She wasn't just defending herself, she was protecting him, like someone defending a loved one. The thought unsettled him more than the machines tearing through the walls. One of the drones slipped past her defense, leaping toward Daniel. Its claws stretched wide. Instinct took over. He grabbed a broken pipe from the floor and swung it hard. The metal hit the drone's head, cracking it open. It collapsed at his feet, sparks spilling from its chest. Daniel stared at the wreck, his hands trembling. He hadn't expected it to work. The girl turned for a split second, her glowing eyes locking onto him. There was something in her gaze, not surprise but recognition, as if she had seen him fight beside her before. She smiled faintly, then spun back to finish the last drone. A flash of blue light filled the room, and silence followed. Daniel's chest heaved as he lowered the pipe. The smell of burnt metal filled the air. Pieces of drones smoked on the floor. He wanted to believe it was over, but deep down he knew it wasn't. The girl's voice broke the silence. This place is no longer safe. More will come. Daniel forced himself to speak. Where do we go? And why are they after you? She moved to the far wall and pressed her hand against a hidden panel. A secret door slid open, revealing a narrow passage lit by faint blue lines. Because I escaped, she said softly. Because I chose you. Daniel stared at her, trying to make sense of her words. You chose me? I don't even know you. She stepped into the passage and looked back. You don't remember, but your heart does. Follow me, and you'll see. Daniel hesitated, gripping the pipe tighter. He wanted to turn around, to find another way, to wake up from this madness. But the memory of the hologram, his own face beside hers, burned in his mind. The pounding of distant metal echoed through the corridors, a reminder that staying here meant death. With a deep breath, Daniel stepped into the passage after her. The door closed behind them, sealing the room and its broken machines in silence. The narrow passage twisted downward like the inside of a hidden artery. Blue lights pulsed on the walls as if alive. Daniel followed closely, his eyes fixed on her back. Her steps were silent, her figure both human and machine, familiar yet alien. Finally, the tunnel opened into a chamber filled with tall glass pods. Inside them floated strange shapes, half human, half machine, unfinished bodies waiting for life. Daniel's stomach turned at the sight. The girl's voice lowered, almost a whisper. This is where we began. This is where they made me. And this is where you swore you would never leave me. Daniel's breath caught as his reflection stared back at him from one of the pods. It wasn't just glass, it was a mirror of his past, a past he was no longer sure he wanted to uncover. Daniel stepped closer to the glass pod, his reflection merging with the pale shape floating inside. The half-built figure inside looked disturbingly human, yet mechanical parts protruded from its arms and spine. Wires coiled like veins, and its eyes were shut, as if waiting to wake. He felt a cold shiver run through his body. The girl stood beside him, her glowing eyes fixed on the pod. You don't remember, she said softly, but you were here when they made me. You touched this glass and promised I wouldn't be alone. Daniel shook his head, his voice rough. No, I've never been here. I've never done this. She turned to him slowly, her gaze calm but unyielding. Memory can be stolen, erased, rewritten, but truth leaves marks deeper than thought. Look at your hands. Daniel looked down. His palms trembled. For a second, he thought he saw faint scars, lines that didn't belong there. He rubbed them quickly, as if trying to erase them, but they remained. He backed away, his throat tightening. If what you're saying is true, why me? Why would I be part of something like this? Her voice grew quieter. Because you were not only part of it, you were the reason I exist. They designed me to be a weapon, but you gave me something more. You gave me purpose. You gave me love. Daniel's heart stumbled at the word. He wanted to dismiss it, to laugh it away, but her eyes shone with a sorrow he couldn't ignore. Suddenly, a loud hum shook the chamber. The pods around them lit up, one by one, their glass glowing bright. Figures inside began to twitch, their bodies stirring as if something had awakened them. Daniel's stomach dropped. What's happening? He whispered. Her face hardened. They activated the others. The nearest pod cracked with a sharp hiss and a metallic arm burst out, then another, then a face, cold, lifeless, and machine-like. Unlike her, these figures carried no softness in their design. They were pure weapons, stripped of anything human. Daniel staggered back as one of them stepped from the pod, its glowing red eyes locking onto him. More followed, their footsteps heavy, their bodies moving with programmed precision. The girl grabbed his hand, pulling him toward another passage on the far side of the chamber. We can't fight them all. Not yet. Daniel resisted for a heartbeat, staring at the marching forms. If they were built here too, does that mean I... She cut him off sharply, her voice urgent. You are not like them. You are more. That is why I chose you. Her words dug into his chest like a blade. He didn't know whether to feel fear or guilt, but there was no time to decide. The newly awakened machines moved closer, their eyes glowing brighter, their mechanical breaths hissing like predators ready to strike. The girl pulled harder, her grip unbreakable. If you die here, everything we fought for dies with you. Daniel stumbled forward, forced to run with her through the glowing passage, the sound of metal footsteps closing in behind them. His mind burned with questions, but the one that haunted him most was not about the machines. It was about himself. Had he truly created her? And if he had, what else had he done that he no longer remembered? The corridor twisted sharply, forcing Daniel to lean against the wall as the cyborg girl pulled him forward. Behind them, the sound of metal feet grew louder, echoing like drums of war. Sparks lit the air as panels in the ceiling cracked open, releasing flying machines that darted after them with glowing red sensors. The girl spun suddenly, raising her arm. Blue energy surged from her palm and cut through the nearest drone, splitting it in half midair. Daniel stumbled back from the blast, covering his face. The passage shook with the force and dust rained down. "Keep moving," she ordered, her voice firm, almost commanding. Daniel's chest burned as he ran beside her. He had no weapon except the bent pipe still clutched in his hand, and the thought of fighting those machines again made his stomach twist. "Where are we going?" he shouted over the noise. "To the core," she said. "That's where he waits." Daniel narrowed his eyes. "Who?" Her expression darkened. "The one who owns the key to me." Before he could ask more, the passage opened into a wide chamber lit by a giant pulsating crystal at its center. Shadows danced across the walls, and the air was heavy with heat and static. At the far side of the chamber, a tall figure stood, an alien warlord clad in black armor, his skin marked with glowing lines of control circuitry. His voice rolled across the chamber like thunder. "So you came back to me, and you brought him." Daniel froze. The warlord's gaze locked onto him, cold and merciless. A device hung from his hand, small and sharp-edged, glowing with blue veins of energy. The girl stiffened beside him. "The soul key," she whispered. The warlord lifted the device, and instantly her body trembled. Sparks crackled from her limbs, her eyes flickering as if someone had reached inside her mind. She dropped to her knees, her voice breaking. "No, Daniel, don't let him." Daniel's heart raced as he rushed to her side, trying to pull her up. Her body shook violently, metal plates grinding against each other. He looked up at the warlord, fury and confusion boiling inside him. "What are you doing to her?" The warlord's face twisted into a cruel smile. "She was never yours. She was mine to build, mine to command. You were only the experiment to make her feel human. Nothing more." Daniel's chest tightened. He wanted to deny it, but the way the girl writhed under the warlord's control burned the truth into his mind. The warlord stepped closer, raising the device higher. The girl screamed, her voice a mix of human pain and mechanical distortion. Sparks sprayed across the floor as her body jerked helplessly. Daniel gripped the pipe in his hands so tightly it hurt. His voice rose, stronger than he expected. "Stop it! You can't control her like this," the warlord's laugh echoed. "Watch closely, human. She may believe she is your wife, but in the end, she will kneel to me." Daniel's blood boiled. He stepped forward, even though every part of him wanted to run. The girl's glowing eyes flickered to him through the pain, desperate, begging without words. Something inside Daniel cracked. He no longer cared about the lies, the erased memories, or the impossible truth. All that mattered was the look in her eyes. He raised the pipe and faced the warlord, his voice steady despite the fear clawing at his chest. "If she's mine or not, I won't let you take her." The warlord's smile faded into a glare as the hum of the soul key grew louder, filling the chamber with deadly light. The hum of the soul key filled the chamber, vibrating through Daniel's bones. The girl's body shook harder, sparks cutting across her frame as if her very soul was being torn apart. Daniel charged forward with the bent pipe, swinging at the warlord with all the strength his body could give. The warlord caught the blow with one hand, metal fingers snapping the pipe in two, as if it were nothing. His other hand tightened on the soul key, sending another wave of control through the girl. She collapsed onto the floor, her voice breaking into a distorted cry that echoed painfully in the chamber. Daniel dropped the broken pipe, his fists clenching. "Let her go," he shouted. The warlord tilted his head, amused. "Why fight for her, human? She is just a construct, a machine with your face written into her code. You are not her husband. You are her experiment." Daniel's heart pounded. He wanted to scream that the warlord was lying, but he didn't know what the truth was anymore. All he had were the girl's eyes, glowing faintly from the floor, begging him not to give up. She reached out weakly, her fingers trembling. Her voice came out fractured. Daniel, the lock, your DNA, it's the only way. Daniel fell to his knees beside her, holding her shaking hand. What do you mean? Her eyes flickered, dimming fast. He holds the key, but you are the code. If you unlock me, he cannot control me again. Daniel's chest tightened. Unlock her? With what? He wasn't a scientist. He wasn't even sure if this was real. But the way she looked at him, pleading, trusting, left no space for doubt. The warlord sneered, stepping closer. Do you truly think you can save her? If you try, the process will consume you. Your body will break, your mind will shatter. She will live, but you will die. Daniel looked up at him, then back down at the girl. For a moment, the chamber blurred, the sounds fading into silence. He saw only her face, half human, half metal, yet filled with more humanity than the monster standing above them. He cupped her cheek, feeling both cold steel and warm skin beneath his palm. If it means you're free, then I'll do it. Her glowing eyes widened, tears forming even through the static flicker. No, you'll die. Daniel's voice hardened. Better me than letting him own you. The warlord roared, raising the soul key high. The crystal pulsed, spilling blinding blue light across the chamber. Daniel pressed his forehead against the girl's, his voice a whisper. Tell me what to do. Her voice trembled, breaking apart. Give me your blood. Daniel pulled the shard of broken pipe from the floor and, without hesitation, sliced his palm open. Warm blood dripped onto her chest where faint symbols glowed beneath the metal plates. The instant it touched her skin, the chamber shook violently. The warlord's eyes widened. No! Stop! The girl screamed, but this time it wasn't pain. It was power. Her body blazed with light, the markings across her skin igniting like fire. The soul key in the warlord's hand sparked, then cracked, energy bursting from it uncontrollably. Daniel felt his strength draining fast, his blood spilling into her core, his vision blurring, but he didn't let go of her hand. Her eyes met his one last time, glowing brighter than ever. You freed me? She whispered. Daniel collapsed forward as the chamber exploded in light, unsure if he would ever open his eyes again. Daniel opened his eyes to silence. The heat and blinding light were gone, replaced by a faint hum and the smell of smoke. He lay on the cold floor, every muscle aching. For a moment he thought he was still dreaming, but then he felt a hand on his chest, steady and warm. He looked up. The girl stood over him, no longer trembling, no longer flickering between control and collapse. Her eyes glowed steady blue, calm and alive. The marks on her skin had changed, no longer chains of control, but flowing lines that pulsed with her own rhythm. She looked free. The warlord lay sprawled across the chamber, his armor cracked open, the soul key shattered into useless shards beside him. Smoke rose from his body, his face frozen in shock. Daniel could hardly believe it. This monster who had towered over them moments ago was nothing, now but broken metal and silence. Daniel tried to push himself up, but his body was weak. His blood still stained her chest where he had pressed his palm against her, a mark that glowed faintly as if it had become part of her. He groaned. Am I alive? She knelt beside him, her hands gently steadying his shoulders. Yes, you are alive, because you chose me. He stared at her, struggling to breathe. Was any of it true? Did I really marry you? For the first time, her face softened into something more fragile than certainty. Her glowing eyes shimmered as if holding back tears. Yes, you did, but even if you had not, you chose me again today. That is enough. Daniel felt his chest tighten. He wanted to argue, to demand proof, to cling to the life he thought he knew. But all those doubts seemed small compared to the way she looked at him now. He reached for her hand. Her metallic fingers closed gently over his, not crushing, not cold, just steady, like she was afraid to let go. I don't know who I was before, Daniel said quietly, but I know who I am now, and I won't leave you. Her lips trembled into a faint smile. She lowered her forehead to his, her voice soft as a whisper. Then you are my husband, with or without memory. Around them, the chamber's lights dimmed, the pods that once held silent weapons now lifeless. The path behind was gone, destroyed in the battle. Ahead, only darkness stretched, waiting for them to step forward. Daniel stood with her help, his body still weak, but his grip on her hand unshakable. They walked together out of the ruined core, leaving the warlord's ashes behind. The station groaned as if it too was dying, but in Daniel's heart something new had begun. He didn't know what future waited beyond the shadows, but one truth remained. He had freed her, and in some way, she had freed him too.